Welcome to Musician Spotlight. It's my pleasure to have my guest tonight on the program, Jen Hewitt.
Go ahead and worry about your two forks beside your plate. Go ahead and worry about having your lobster or steak. But there's more things in life to worry about. You see, my people are dying. My people are dying. My people are dying. Spiritually, mentally, physically. Today the young people are so confused. Why don't you turn on the TV or read the news? But why should you care? You have your identity and you have your world. Love your brother, respect your mother, help one another, and live peacefully, in harmony, live peacefully. Go ahead and worry about your two forks beside your plate. Go ahead and worry about having your lobster or steak. But there's more things in life to worry about, like Turkish nations, Haiti, South Africa, Indian reservations. The people are dying, and all the people are dying. The people are dying spiritually, mentally, physically. Go ahead and worry about your two forks beside your plate.
My guest tonight on Musician Spotlight is Jen Hewitt. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're a Montana resident, resident of the Salish Kootenai tribe up in St. Ignatius. Is that right?
That's right. Born and raised in St. Ignatius.
Well, I gotta ask you to tell me a little bit about the influence that Montana has had on you as a songwriter at some point. I've asked that question a lot. Tell me about the song we just heard.
Well, I was 18, just left the reservation, received a BA from the University of Montana here in sociology, but, you know, in the process, I had just left, and I was at a dorm. I think it was Corbin Hall, and there was these people who wanted to take me and some friends out to the Greeno Mansion for dinner, and while we weren't the type to spend that much money on a hamburger per se, and so anyway, we thought we'd jump at the chance, and we went, and the guy meets us at the door, and he says, do you have a reservation? And I said, yeah, I'm from the Flathead Reservation, my friend's from the Blackfeet Reservation, and she's from the Crow Reservation. And he looks at me like, that's not exactly what I had in mind, you know. And so, remember, I really didn't know what was going on. So then, after a while, he brings us in and we sit down, and there is two forks beside my plate. And I thought, well, I might look big, but I don't need two forks. And so it just was getting really confusing, and I was getting Twitter-pated, and it gets worse. Then the guy comes over and he says, well, what would you like to drink? Well, I've seen a lot of my relatives, a lot of my people just completely destroyed by alcohol, and I haven't really wanted to participate in that. So anyway, I didn't know really what to order. I heard, you know, people were drinking Strawberry Hill Boone's Farm, so I said I'd like some Strawberry Hill Boone's Farm, please. And the guy's mouth hit the ground, and he said, we don't serve that here. And somebody kind of nudged me and said, rot gut. So then the people I was with said, well, what should we have, dear? Should we have lobster or should we have steak? You know, and it was just something that I thought that I should go home and write two forks. So I went home and wrote the song called Two Forks.
That's great. Well, you've got a quite the career already. You've played all around the country for different events. You tend to play, get an opportunity at least, and get invited to play for all sorts of different kinds of events. Maybe you can talk a little bit about maybe some of your favorite venues that you've had a chance to perform at.
I think a really exciting moment in my life was over in Russia. In 1985, I was there to sing for 12th World Festival for Peace and Friendship and anti-imperialism and solidarity. And I ended up on stage with Martin Luther King's daughter and Angela Davis. And since then, I just kind of like, it was just mesmerizing the way they treated me. I had my own bus, I had my own interpreter, and they treat musicians like football players over there. I mean, they're really of a lot of importance. And so I think probably musicians get treated well here too, but probably not the ethnic folk music that I do. I mean, we could be treated a lot better. And I just was really spoiled over there, and I loved it. It was a good time.
That sounds great. And you've had lots of opportunities to play around our part of the country as well, too.
Yeah, I really love Montana. It's my home. St. Ignatius, my home. I draw my strength from the mountains and from the trees. I'm kind of reclusive, and I just really like it that way. I like living up in the mountains, and I don't know, there's just something that connects me with the earth. I certainly wouldn't want to move.
That's great. Well, it's a wonderful thing to be able to have that connection with the land and the place you live and be able to draw strength from it. And a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah, it beats Catholicism. I mean, I was raised Catholic, you know. I mean, we had the Villa Ursul there, the Bureau of Indian Affairs boarding schools, and I've had a lot of brainwashing to like this one certain religion was the only one religion, and getting back into my Indian roots. I mean, not only the sweats, but the honor of the two-legged and the four-legged, and knowing that Mother Earth is when you respect her and treat her good, then that's the whole key to treating everybody else good. And it just seems to be so simple. And everybody's kind of searching and wandering and looking for the right religion, and it's kind of right under their nose.
So how do you decide what to write about? Your songs tend to be a lot about social justice and other contemporary issues. And how do you decide? Well,
it's pretty easy to decide. First of all, being in a democracy with a dictatorship. We have the tribal council, who's a dictatorship in a democracy, and I'm under the tribal government, and there's really no women on the tribal council, and it seems like it's a circle. I'll call it an analogy, a circle of strength, or a circle. And if you step outside the circle, then you're blackballed, or you're just not supposed to say anything. The men are supposed to say supposed to do the leadership, and so I find that very oppressive, and I have thought that one should be able to speak their mind and be an individual, and it's real easy for me to sing about the pains of the people, because when I see the people being used for their economical their jobs, they get their money from saying that the poor Indians are needy and the poor Indians are alcoholic, and you know, a lot of the people are not that way, and they get their economical strength, their money from the poor people. And I get really tired of the people being looked upon as being alcoholic, and so I feel this oppression and I sing about it. But however, it does get to me sometimes. So I would like to reach out in other avenues of different styles of music and do happy songs and beautiful melodies to make me as a person grow more, because I have these tendencies in my voice where I'd like to do opera, and I'd like to do, you know, different styles instead of not ethnic folk, but, you know, I'm kind of getting tired of talking about it, and I need people to make the change now.
Right.
I think my music is probably comes from, oh, I don't know how it comes from the spirit, like the spirit of Chief Joseph, Chief Charlo. It comes from the cry of my ancestors. It comes from the feelings that I feel from not only the earth and my environment, the trees where I'm at, but the surrounding, but from the pain of the oppressed people. And I think I have created my own style because I haven't had a phonograph, or I haven't had access to modern music just to develop my own style. And I think that's probably an answer to your question.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to record some of your music, or do you intend to, or would you like to? Or?
Well, because I'm such an outspoken woman, I feel that my chances of getting a normal job on the reservation hasn't been really too, what is the word? Well, I haven't had access to a job like in social work, because I have had stood up for battered women, or stood up for the needy and the poor, and maybe stepped on the wrong toes. So I feel that in order for me to get the money to record, I'm either going to have to find a really good grant writer, or start, Polygram out in New York City, the vice president, Carrie Wood, has been sending me TDK tapes. She sent me a copy machine. She says, I'm doing Bon Jovi promotion, I'm doing Def Leppard promotion, but don't think I forgot about you. Here's some tapes. Make your own tapes right now. We're knocking on doors. Be patient.
Great.
So we'll see.
Well,
And I got a call from Northern Exposure, just, let's see, the producer, what was it, Friday. Yeah. And I have to send some pictures out and stuff. So maybe we can break this oppression of monetary value, but never the spirit.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you've been able already through your music to be able to reach a lot of people and to talk to a lot of people in your live performances, and it's great that you can do that. Well, I look forward to hearing some more music. Do you play some more for us?
Sure.
Great. My guest tonight on the program is Jen Hewitt.
We are here, we are here. We are here, we are here. My men are becoming bad, they have no place to hide. And I will go. I do not want the land you promise. I do not believe your promises. And I will go, we will go. We are here, we are here, we are here. We are here, we are here. All I want is enough ground for my grave, and I will go, we will go. We are here, we are here, we are here. We are here, we are here. My women and children are hungry. For their sake, I will go. I will go, we will go, for their sake I will go. He was fighting for his country, for his people and his land, a brave warrior. He fell in battle in a place called Vietnam. Carry him home, Indian pony. Carry him home, faithful steed. It's his last ride, Indian pony. He has done what you are meant to be. Unity and brotherhood, fly, eagle, fly. Be our symbol in the sky for unity and brotherhood. A peace of mind, a free mankind. It's a use it. Fly, eagle, fly. Fly, eagle, fly. Fly, eagle, fly. I've given up fried bread, you know. There's calories in that there dough. My blue jeans are tightening, it's really quite frightening, and breathing is difficult, so I've given up fried bread of late in an effort to really lose weight. I'm not actually a glutton, but I'm popping my buttons, and when I travel I have to go by freight. I've given up fried bread for real. Its fragrance has lost all appeal. I've tossed out the commodity butter right out in the gutter. I eat carrots now, yuck, with each meal. My mother made fried bread today. She offered me some and oh say, it looks pretty tasty, perhaps I've been hasty. Just one piece can't hurt me, no way. Because fried bread's traditional, I'm told. It's worth its weight in pure gold. Quick, run, get the commodity butter. It's out in the gutter. We can't let this good fried bread get cold. Indian man, skin so tan, brown-eyed baby, give me your hand. Beaded buckles and Levi jeans, your moccasins are looking new. Oh, Chippewa, Apache Cree, Assiniboine and Flathead, Potawatomi. Indian man, skin so tan, brown-eyed baby, give me your hand. You said you'd be late, but I don't mind. I'll meet you at the 49. Well, the blacks are fighting to be proud and free. The Indians are finding their identity. And woman's struggle's still going on, and Bob Dylan's making millions singing his songs. But as for me, I'm going far because I'm an Indian woman, not no superstar. And as for the doggone world I see, there's too much poverty, and it's a dog-eat-dog, yeah. Dog-eat-dog, it's a dog-eat-dog world you see. And it's a dog-eat-dog, yeah. Dog-eat-dog, it's a doggone country. Now I look over yonder, and what do I see? This mangy mutt walking towards me. He lifts up his leg and begins to pee. And I realize there wasn't no tree, 'cause it was on my leg. And it's a dog-eat-dog, yeah. Dog-eat-dog, it's a dog-eat-dog world you see. And it's a dog-eat-dog, yeah. Dog-eat-dog, it's a doggone country. Now the whole point of this song, as you will know, is a dog doesn't need a tree to pee, and a man doesn't need a Statue of Liberty to be free. To gripe and complain about a man's long hair don't get us anywhere, and you don't have to be no superstar. You just be who you are, and it's a dog-eat-dog, yeah. Dog-eat-dog, it's a dog-eat-dog world you see. And it's a dog-eat-dog, yeah. Dog-eat-dog, it's a doggone country. When the morning breaks and the sunrise warms my soul, in the east the eagle flies and the red tail proudly soars. I'm on my way to a place of the spirit one. Grandfather, hear me now, I am on fire. Let the sun dance guide my feet to your desire. Show me visions for my eyes, and words like gold that shimmer in the sun. way, way, way. Turn toward the south like the water I will run. And in our sense and trust, the moonchild's song is sung. I'm on my way to die and live again. Grandmother Earth, I cry, give me rest. I take my place with the woman in the west, the raven and the bear, the way of verbs and the cleansing of Mother Earth. Way, way, in the deepest night, the stars watch over me. Old woman of the north, my mind seeks clarity. I'm on my way to the northern winds. Let the thunder and the lightning carry me. Lay my thoughts to rest and send me into sleep. The hawk and the buffalo, my dreams like crystal magic medicine. Way, way, way. In the deepest night, the stars watch over me. Old woman of the north, my mind seeks clarity. I'm on my way to a place of a sacred plan, my emotions and my will at their command, where the turtle voice is heard upon the land, the wise coyote prowls, the rattlesnake will call me to the dance. Way, way,
This is Michael Marsalic. You've been tuned to Musician Spotlight, a weekly program featuring musicians from around the region. And my thanks to my guest tonight, Jen Hewitt. Thanks.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm very honored to be on your program, Mike. I listen to it all the time.
Oh, thank you very much. And thanks for making the drive down and sharing some of your music with us. Jen Hewitt. This is Michael Marsalic. Good evening and welcome to Musician Spotlight. It's my great pleasure to welcome my guest tonight, Ken Light. My guest tonight on Musician Spotlight is Ken Light, a neighbor of sorts these days.
Up on the hill.
From our leeway. It's great to get you in to hear you play, and I'm anxious to talk a little bit about the instrument maker as well as the musician. For those of you who don't know, my guest Ken Light is a flute maker as well as a musician and performer, and I guess maybe the place to start, Ken, would be to ask you how you fell in love with the flute and decided to make him and play him.
Well, it's kind of an experience that it runs kind of common to people when they hear the music. There's this emotional power behind it, and it seems to strike people kind of in the same way. There's kind of an opening experience involved with hearing the music. And when I first heard it, that was the experience I had, and I've seen a lot of other people have, express the same kind of experiences in association with hearing the music. So that's what basically got me fascinated from the very beginning. I was aware of the power that music had to evoke different emotional responses in people, and these simple tones carried a very soothing and important message, I thought. Anyway, it hit me from the beginning.
What's the tradition behind this style of flute?
Well, it's an ancient tradition on the North American continent. It goes back well, people argue about it, but a long ways. And the pictographs of the front-held flutes like this go back, thousands of years. So they've been made for a long time. And what these are is the most contemporary evolution of that instrument, and what's been happening in the last, 8 years since I've been working with the flute is bringing these instruments into a contemporary evolution where they have the tone and the tonality to be used, in the studio, whatever, which a lot of people have been doing.
Yeah, lots of there's a renaissance of sorts to this style of music, don't you think? I mean, it seems to be Carlos Nekai, who you actually have a connection with. We can talk about as an example of somebody who's really bringing this style of Native American flute music to the forefront again.
Oh yeah, he's got about 18 releases out now and performs nationally and internationally and has exposed a tremendous number of people to this music who haven't heard it before. So, and when I first met Nakai, it was about 6 years ago. We were both kind of getting started, so we began a collaboration on developing the instruments back then. I was only working with one pattern, a Lakota style flute, and he wanted instruments that did other things from other traditional tunings. So he helped me and showed me the tunings, and then I developed the instruments kind of from the tunings up or out or whatever. And then we've worked to develop those and to understand what the flute does. That's basically what it is to understand what will the flute do and then to work with it.
So in your case, you've been an instrument maker for years, and did the desire to play all of these instruments come out more and more as you started making more instruments, or how did that evolve?
Well, the first thing that I wanted to do was to have one to play. I didn't say, oh, look, that's a neat flute, I wonder how do you make them. No, I wanted one to work with and to play. So that's how I got started making them. And then as I, became more and more interested in making more, then I've learned, deepened a relationship with them all the way along. And the flute is taught, what I know about the flute, the flute has showed me from working with it so much, trying to understand what it will do, and then developing the music around that understanding.
Your company, Oman Lauren Flutes, now is certainly gaining some amazing notoriety. I mean, you really are one of the premier flute makers now in the country, and it's exciting to see. Being a Montana native of sorts. Are you actually from Montana? I never asked you that.
Well,
you've been here a lot of years now. 15 years
I was
or so.
born up near Harlem, in the eastern part of the state, but when I was real small, my family moved to Washington, where I went to school. But I've been back for about 13 years now.
Well, in addition to making instruments for our Carlos Nekai, you've made and provided flutes for people all over the country, and I think it's just great to see you get the opportunity to perform on some of the instruments that you make.
It's not that often, that I seem to spend so much time in the shop and developing my business with the flutes to pay the bills, to keep myself going, that I don't get out and perform as much as I sometimes would like to. But, I just kind of am following the whole thing. I don't really want to be in control of everything that happens. I basically want to see what's happening and kind of go with whatever development, whichever way it goes. And now it's pretty much to get the instruments made and get them out. That's what keeps me going. But I'm playing all the time in the shop. If you stand outside the shop, you'd hear a lot of music coming out. Every time I make a flute, I put it through its paces. Right. So I do play quite a bit then.
Well, and you do have a couple of tapes available of music that you've put together, and I assume a desire to do more of recording as well, huh?
Sure. I've been telling people I've got a CD in the works, and I actually do, but it's coming slower than I would really hope for. But I self-produce everything. Amanaloran Flutes is basically me. When the phone rings, and I pick it up, I say, I'm going to learn flutes, and they say, is Ken there? And I go, sure, there's nobody else around here. So I am kind of a one-man show, and then producing my own recordings, there's a lot more to it, so it takes longer when you do it that way.
Let's talk a little bit about the different voices that some of the different flutes and different tunings have. I know that, I am a drum maker, and we find in our making of percussion instruments that each instrument has its own voice, and you don't know what that voice is until it's a done drum and you play it. They all vary. They all have their own uniqueness. And do you find that to be true of the flutes as well? I mean, you make, many of the similar tunings and similar shapes and things, but they all sound different, don't they?
Yeah, every flute has its own voice, is the way I describe it. And, no two pieces of wood are the same. There's a tremendous variety in natural materials.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, uniform, perfect, understandable and predictable all the time. So it's another thing of going with and letting the instrument show you what it does, and working with each one individually to find out what is special about that one, and then making sure that you try to accentuate whatever unique qualities that the instrument has, so that they all have a unique character and personality.
Well, and you explore as well, don't you, with with different tunings and different sizes, and that adds such a variety as well.
Yeah, right now I'm working with 5 different tunings, and boy, I don't know how many different styles. I mean, I make a lot of different styles of flutes within those tunings, but they're all traditional tunings that most of them I got from Naka. I learned from him, and then some others that I've learned from other places, and then I've developed a couple on my own, unique tunings. There's one of the flutes I'll be playing is in D sharp, so it's like playing all the black keys on a piano, and I wanted a lower pitch flute. I liked the idea of all the in between notes, and so I developed the flute around the scale. Basically, that's what I do.
Many people assume that the flute is a solo instrument, and it is very amazing by itself, and with very meditative and contemplative. It has that wonderful etheric feel. But I understand there's been some work with symphony orchestras and some other things too.
Wow.
Talk about the renaissance of the flute. I mean, it's really coming to the forefront as a solo instrument, right?
All the way to symphonies. But it's, Naka has kind of pioneered using the flutes with guitar, and, with William Eaton and his guitar work, and Peter Cater with his piano work. And then they moved into the chamber orchestra ensemble with spirit horses, and then the composer James DeMars, wrote the Two World Symphony for full symphony and native flute, and it's really been exciting for me to work with them, because they did the same thing. They started with the flute. Jim DeMars started with what will the flute do, and then built the symphony around that. So he's gotten into the same idea, which is stepping outside of the regular, European musical tradition, where the composer writes the music and hands it to the musicians, and they got to deal with it. This way, it's working in a whole nother way.
It caters to the instrument specifically.
It has to, because the instruments have always been unique, and that what I've done with them is to understand the scales and tunings and make them accurate, so that they can be played with tuned instruments. Mm-hmm. And it just gives them a lot more versatility to do ensemble work.
How do you think living where you live has influenced your craft and your music?
Well, since the very beginning, I've felt, I was one of the first emotional things I felt was, here was a music that spoke. It was earth music. It had this feeling of wide open spaces and clean water, and had been doing a graduate program in environmental studies, dealing with how do people develop ethics about the relationship with the world. Why does it feel bad to see some things happening to the earth for some people, and other people it doesn't? I was trying to understand these things so that I could help develop educational programs that would, that would work. And when I heard this music, that was what I heard behind it, was a way for people to connect with that through music.
I think you're really to be commended, Ken, for your efforts in the resurgence and the rejuvenation of the instruments that you've been able to do. Ken Light.
This next piece is just an improvisation in D sharp on this new tuning that I've developed. A nice low tuning. one of the emotions that I like to work with flute is some of the emotional sadness that is associated, that anyone has that works with what's going on with the earth feels. And instead of changing it into anger or into a lot of things, I just, let's just deal with that feeling. And so I do pieces that are sort of laments, and they help me work out those kind of feelings when I see the things that I see. So that's kind of what I want to do with this one.
This is Michael Marsalic. You've been tuned to Musician Spotlight. It's been my pleasure to have Ken Light on the program. Thanks, Ken.
Hey, it's been a pleasure to be here. Had a good time.
Let's do one more here.
Okay.